About 40 years ago, I bought a backup car to drive in case one of my Toyotas broke down, but the fact is, in 40 years of driving Toyotas, I've never had one break down, so my backup car has been sitting quite a bit. Hasn't been getting much use, as you can see. Yeah, it needs a little work under the hood, minor tune-up. But hey, the headlights are like brand new. If there's any car collectors out there looking for a Chevrolet Monza, a nice cream puff, like new condition, give me a call. This can be yours. Yep, when it's stamped GM, that's the mark of quality. Here we are at a garage and test facility again. Let's see what we're driving this week. My favorite truck, a Toyota Tacoma. Just what the doctor ordered. And this one seems to be tricked out with all the goodies. TRD Pro. That means it costs a lot more money. First thing we want to do when we get a vehicle is check and see if there's a spare tire. Yeah, there's one under there. You get a flat, you have to get dirty crawling under there to get it, but it's there, as we would expect on a truck. And the second thing we want to do is take the headlights out in the dark and see what they do, so we'll complete that chore right now. Alright, it's dark enough. Let's see what these do. Here we have the low beams on a building 100 feet away, very bright, decent height. Although with the raised truck I expected more height, but oh well, good enough. High beams. Looks pretty promising thus far. And here's what the rearview camera screen looks like. A little fuzzy, but there might be some dust on the back. I'll have to check. Okay, I wiped it off. A little bit better, not by much. It'll do though. Keep in mind this is what the camera was looking at, so there's absolutely no light back there. Pretty good considering you can't see anything at all with the naked eye. And here we have the brights on the fence 80 yards away, the building behind it 130 yards away. Pretty bright. Go low beam. Looks pretty good to me. If you like Toyota trucks, we also did a test on the Toyota Tundra. We'll have a link for that video at the end of this video, so you can watch that test. And we also drove and tested the best off-roader on the planet, the Toyota Land Cruiser. Big and expensive. We'll have a link for that video at the end of this video as well. If you want one, you better get it now because they're going to stop importing them next year, I'm told. Get them while they're hot. The base price of a 4-cylinder Tacoma runs $28,000, but as you can see, this one has a lot more goodies. Here's some of the equipment. I'll just scroll down. We're already up to 44 grand, and here's some of the usual options that nickel and dime you to death. Got to pay for delivery too. A nice tidy 47 grand plus change. And tax and license, of course. If you were paying attention when I showed you the option list, you know this heavy-duty cargo mat made out of rubber is 120 bucks more, and I like it. Unfortunately, there's no way to secure it to the bed. Anybody can grab it and run off with it. You think there'd be a way to bolt it down here, but nope, they cut it off, so don't know what to tell you about that. Maybe some super glue will work for you. The base engine is a 2.7 liter 4-cylinder rated at 159 horsepower. On this one we have the optional 3.5 V6, 278 horsepower. Usually comes with a 6-speed automatic transmission. But on this truck we got the 6-speed manual transmission, which is rather rare. Yep. So let's have a chat about that. Okay, why would someone want a manual transmission in a Tacoma instead of the automatic? There are some reasons I hear, so let's review them. Number one is usually improved fuel economy. And yes, back in the old days, the manual transmissions got better gas mileage than the automatics. That's not really true anymore. On the automatic Tacoma, 19 in the city, 24 on the highway, 21 overall. Get this manual, it drops to 17 in the city, 20 on the highway, and 18 overall. That's about a 10% drop. And in my mixed commuting, I'm getting 16.9 thus far. Okay, what about performance? A lot of people like manual transmissions in a truck because they can choose the exact gear they want manually, but with most automatic transmissions, you can do that too. No advantage there. And I might mention, if you're climbing steep hills, automatic transmissions don't stall the engine. You can do that with a manual. If you stall on a steep grade, try to operate a clutch, a brake, a gas pedal, and a shifter at the same time. It's no fun. So the automatic is far superior in that category as well. And number 3, there are those who think that manual transmissions are more reliable than automatics. I'm not going to get into that debate on this video, but I will say the automatic gearbox in the Toyota 6-speed automatic is very, very reliable. Usually go 250, 300,000 miles. This one will too. So there's no really difference in reliability for the Toyota automatic or the Toyota manual. But remember, the manual has a clutch. You're not going to get 300,000 miles off a clutch. Plan on replacing at least one, maybe two, over a 300,000 mile period. So again, the advantages with the automatic versus the manual. I don't dislike manual transmissions. In fact, there are a lot of situations where they might be a good idea. If you have a small economy car with a 3-cylinder, 4-cylinder engine, it's a good way to get power to the wheels versus an automatic. If you have a sports car with a high revving engine, a manual transmission works pretty well. But in a truck, I just don't see any point in having a manual transmission, especially in a 4x4 vehicle. The advantage in reliability, fuel economy, and performance just isn't there. And that's the way I look at it. Now, for those out there who decide they want a manual gearbox anyway, or maybe you haven't made up your mind yet, let's take a closer look at this and see how it works. Okay, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you this is not a short throw box. Every time you shift, it's about a half a foot in the distance. You'd never put up with this in a car, but it's a truck, so I don't think too many people will mind. But it's a long stroke from front to rear. Give your arm a good workout. Same with the clutch, a good 6 inches of travel here. I'm just under 5 feet 10 in height, and I had to scoot the seat all the way up to be able to operate this pedal and reach it. If you're shorter, this might be an issue for you, and I suspect it's going to be an issue for a lot of females. If you're thinking about ordering a 6-speed manual, you might want to get in and test drive it first. And there's always going to be somebody in the comments section saying, I'm a real man, I need a manual shifter and a clutch, I don't need no sissy automatic. Well, go ahead and buy one, that's fine, but if you're married to a petite little wife, you might want to check with her, because you're expecting her to drive this. It might not work out too well. Here's the bottom line, folks. If you want a manual transmission in your Tacoma or any other truck, go for it. I'm not going to try to talk you out of it, but for me, I would never have a manual transmission in an off-road vehicle. Just wouldn't happen. But anyway, I'm glad I got this, because I only have to live with the truck for a week, and I'm looking forward to trying it out. It'll be fun for a little while anyway. A lot of people have a complaint about the Tacoma, saying it's over 16 years old, hasn't had any major changes since then, and that's true. It's like an engine swap, it's pretty much the same vehicle. When it comes to overall driving comfort, yeah, the Tacoma does lag behind the competitors a bit. However, it's still the top seller. Last year it sold 230,000 compared to the Ford Ranger 100,000, Chevy Colorado 45,000, Jeep Canyon 25,000, and then the Sun Frontier dropped from 75,000 to 36,000. So the Tacoma sells more vehicles than all the other compacts put together. So if something ain't broke, why fix it? So for the rest of the video, let's take this out and do some driving. And oh yes, by the way, one thing I like about this vehicle, being an old-fashioned truck, we get an old-fashioned emergency brake with a handle, instead of that electronic parking brake garbage that I despise. Yeah, this takes up a lot of room, but it's far better than the electronic junk. As we do in all of our videos, we're going to take some mild speed humps around 20 miles per hour, see how the suspension performs on impact. Should be interesting with these fancy shocks and big tires. Here comes hump number 1. Pretty smooth in the front, but the empty bed was bouncing around a bit. Here comes number 2. Again, it's a bed hop, but comfortable enough. Number 3. And the nasty one. This should be interesting. I've had some weight in the bed. It'd be pretty comfortable overall. I rarely take this one. It's a real nasty one, but with all this special suspension we got, TRD package, big tires, let's give it a go. The front was very smooth, but again, empty bed, a lot of rear end hop. You expect that. Wouldn't happen if I had a bunch of weight in the back. A lot of people in the automotive press keep telling us that the TRD suspension is way too rough riding. I found that to be the opposite. Every TRD Toyota I've ever had is smoother riding than stock, so that's my opinion. Shut up, you stupid bird. You're ruining my video. Get out of here. He comes out here every time I do a video. Scoot. As far as the power steering goes, I've never been a fan of the system on the Toyota Tacoma. Kind of sloppy, not much feel, but it's a truck, so I don't think the average person's really going to care. No big deal to me, really. We're going to take a highway trip, climbing 1,500 feet to 6,000 feet. I must say, this is a pretty comfortable vehicle to drive. The driving position is way up here where I can see everything, and the suspension does a pretty good job of absorbing impacts, and the high-speed stability is very good. On the negative side, the wind noise is horrible, but it's a raised truck pushing a lot of air, so there's not much you can do about that. It doesn't really reach into the cabin that much, though, so it's no big deal. This 6-speed manual transmission is very pleasant to use on the freeway. If you're climbing a mild, steep grade, just knock it down in 5th gear. If you're in a steeper grade, knock it down in 4th gear. Very pleasant to use, but I still wouldn't buy one. I do too much city driving. Nope. I still have to go with the automatic. And for those who are interested, at 75 miles per hour, I'm pulling around 2,500 RPM. I forgot what it is with the automatic transmission, but here it is with the 6-speed manual for those who are interested. Alright, we made it to 6,000 feet, and the fuel economy, 14.4 mpg for those interested. Hey, it's a steep climb. What can I tell you? This little V6 has to do a lot of work pulling this weight with these big tires and pushing all that air. Also, a lot of my time was spent in the lower 5th and 4th gears instead of 6th. That definitely guzzles up the gas too. In fact, I'm still in 4th right now. I have to keep up, otherwise this engine would start lagging and I'd fall behind. We're going to take a return trip from 6,500 feet elevation to 1,500 feet. And of course, since we're going downhill, we got to get some good MPG figures now. I hope. Okay, going uphill from 1,500 feet to 6,500 feet, huffing and puffing all the way. We got 14.5 mpg. Return trip gliding all the way, 19.4. It's 19.5. Add up, divide by 2, that gives our freeway mileage around 17.5. Or 17 to 18 mpg in the real world. If you're driving a Tacoma with smaller tires and lower ground clearance, you're going to do better. I have in the past. Or with the automatic transmission, definitely better. With the automatic transmission and smaller wheels and tires and lower ground clearance, I've gotten around 22 mpg on the same trip. Okay, pavement driving is over. We're going off-road. Way out in the boonies. And all that rattling you're hearing, no, it's not the vehicle. I have the truck loaded up with a bunch of stuff. Lots of stuff. These wheels and tires and ground clearance do a pretty good job. I haven't had to put this in 4-wheel drive yet. Home sweet home. My secret hideaway. So what's my take on this Toyota Tacoma after a week of driving? Well, I have to admit I had a lot of fun shifting this 6-speed manual transmission. But on the long term, I don't think I'd want a Tacoma with this. I'd rather have the automatic, especially with all the city driving I'm doing. Not for me. Might be for you. Go for it if you want it. And as far as the Tacoma itself, what can I tell you? Yeah, it's old and outdated, needs a refresh, but it's not likely to happen soon. And bottom line, it's still the best choice in the small truck segment out there, so my #1 pick.